I bow to all the seekers of truth. The other day, I told you a little bit about the first center called as Muladhara chakra and Kundalini, which is the residual consciousness in the triangular bone called as sacrum. As I told you that this is the pure desire power which has not yet been awakened and is not yet manifested within you, which is sat here waiting for a moment to arise and to give you your second birth, your baptism. It makes you a peer. It gives you your self-realization. This pure desire is to be one with your spirit. This, unless and until it is fulfilled, those who are seeking will never be satisfied, whatever they may do. Now, this first center is very important because this was the first center that was created when the primordial being started doing the job. This is the center of innocence, that is holiness. First thing that was created was holiness on this earth. This center is very important in all the human beings because animals have innocence, they have not lost it, while we have a right, or we can say we have a freedom to abandon it. We can do it. We can somehow or other destroy it by our so-called ideas of freedom. Now, this center has a power to give us wisdom. Now, wisdom is such a word that cannot be explained. Wisdom is the balance between your understanding of what is good and what is bad, where you really understand what is good for your spirit is wisdom. And when this center is alive and is not destroyed, then you really know what is wisdom is. For example, the person who has got this center very well developed can tell you whether it is the north or the south. Because the magnetism that is in the Mother Earth, this center is made by the element of Mother Earth. So the magnetism that is in the Mother Earth is there present in this center. When the birds fly all the way from Siberia to Australia, they do it with the help of this center because they know whether they are moving northward or southward. They have an innate wisdom to know which way to move. And that's why one should know that this center is also within us, but we have lost our sense of judgment because we have lost that magnetism within us. An innocent person is really like a magnet, and he attracts the people towards himself, just like a flower attracts a bee towards itself. There are some fishes in which they have found actual magnetic field, and in some of them they have even found a regular magnet placed in certain fishes by which they know whether they are going north, south, east or west. This center in us can be destroyed by various ways, as I told you last time. Now, if you see from the top, there's a blue line coming down. This is the power of our desire, by which we desire, is the emotional side of a human being. When a person neglects his emotional side or does not respect his emotional side, then this center gets lost. It gets very much destroyed. The emotional side in these modern times is not well understood by human beings. I'm sorry to say, but it is very true that when you destroy this center, first thing that sets in is impotency or overactivity, like the rapist and all that are created because this center is neglected. Both things are just the same in the eyes of God. Any extreme is wrong. Now, those people who say that you can be enlightened through sex are really, I don't know what to call them. Because she's your mother sitting down there. She's only your mother. She has no other child, and she is holiest of holy. She is the Holy Ghost within you. And if you want to sex on your mother, I don't know if people understand that here. In India, it's impossible. We cannot understand this nonsense. So it's the same insult to your mother, like some people try to insult Mother Mary by putting Christ in a very awkward situation with her. It's something like that, we can say, happens when you start talking like this. It's a very great sin to do such a thing to your own mother, which is the Kundalini. And that's why the other day I told you, I have seen some people have Kundalini, which is all the time tossing her head and breaking her whole body and just feeling so helpless because she's made so weak, because the holiness from a person is vanished. Our idea of holiness has become so perverted, so perverted. And to add up to that, we have now gurus to tell us that it's a very good thing to do, you'll go to heaven. Actually, they are very honest. They say you'll go to bottomless pit. And bottomless pit means hell. Why do you need a guru for this? Actually, you have mastered this art. In England, when I went, I was amazed that they have sex they talk of sex and sex and sex, morning till evening. I don't understand. Like all important people talk, you see. That's how they go on talking about sex all the time. It's nothing but sex. It's so filthy. So filthy. They talk sex with the animals, sex with the children, I don't know what's happening to human beings. How can we be that filthy? I wouldn't be surprised after some time we will have our bathrooms inside our drawing rooms. You see, there's something like our privacy. Something like our drawing room where we meet people. How can you talk of these things and how can you discuss these things which are so private and so sacred? And that's how you lose them or you lose balance over them. This is one of the things that's happening to us because God has given us freedom. We think we can do what we like. But we have lost our wisdom. We have lost. I don't know why this industrial revolution or I don't know whom to blame. But we have lost our wisdom to understand that these things are injurious. If it is not, logically we can say, why do we develop diseases? With free sex, all the sailors under law have to have in every port arrangements for getting injections for all kinds of complications that they have from sex life. Why is it you do not feel healthier with it? You lose all your health, all your charm is gone from your face, you get sunken and you look so horrid. It's a very good sign just now to see how nature reacts to it. So one has to be wise to understand that God has given us this thing to us, not to be insulted, but for us to lead a good, normal, good married life. And not to waste our energy in this kind of thing. But when people start thinking about it, then it's even worse. Then what happens? That this shifts from there, the attention onto the other side, and it goes to the yellow side, goes to the brain. When you start thinking about it, definite it is that you will become impotent. Definite, no doubt, at a very early stage, because it is a spontaneous thing. And when you start thinking about it, when your eyes start roving here and there, be sure your attention is gone to something which is so localized, which is so different, and which takes place only at a time when you are at a certain emotional spontaneity. It's very out of date to talk of these things to people, but if you are not careful about it, you have to find out the statistics of American young people, and you'll be amazed how many of them are suffering from horrible diseases. When I went to America, I found that 9 out of 10 young people who came to me were suffering from these horrible diseases, and most of them were impotent. It's a shock. One has to face it as it is. And not to say, oh, I'm all right, I'm all right. This is not the way to look at things. We have to see to the statistics that are being placed before us and to know that there is something wrong about it. And with your wisdom, you have to reach certain conclusions about it. Now, the second center, which I call as the Swadhisthana center, is also a very important center within us. The first center looks after all our excretion. It has got 4 petals. In the same way, in the pelvic plexus, which is manifested by that, which is a gross plexus within us, has also got 4 subplexuses. Now, another one that we have is the Swadhisthana center, which is the second center. Second center has got 6 petals, and it supplies or it manifests in the gross, the aortic plexus, which also has got 6 subplexuses. Now, this center is very important for us in the modern times. It's extremely important, and I think neglect of this center can create lots of problems. Now, this center, if you see, is connected with the brain. And this center is responsible for our action, is the center of our creativity. When we think of the future, when we do any physical work, we use this center for that purpose. And one has to understand that these days we are developing lots of diseases because we have not understood what is the function of this center is. The foremost function of this center is to convert the fat cells for the use of the gray matter in the head. When we think too much, all the time about the future we plan, we go on planning into all details, what happens is that this poor center has to work very hard to produce new cells one after another for the use of your brain. Apart from that, it has to do many other functions. It has to look after your liver, it has to look after your spleen, it has to look after your pancreas, your kidneys, and also uterus among women. If you start thinking too much, all the time thinking, if you cannot stop your thinking, all the time your brain goes on thinking, a sort of a thinking process starts without your control, then poor this center has to work all that, your liver goes out. When your liver goes out, you must know that liver is one of the most important things within us because it nourishes our attention. Chitta, it nourishes our chitta. Now this attention, whenever it is spoiled because there are certain poisons within us. It can be physical poisons, it can be mental poisons, it can be emotional poisons, any kind of poisons there are, especially the physical and the emotional ones, they go to this liver, which sorts it out. This is the function of this liver, is to sort it out. But when you are not giving it sufficient energy, you are using it for thinking, then poor this center is left behind. It has no nourishment, nobody looks after it, it becomes sluggish. When it becomes sluggish, all the heat accumulates in the liver. And such a person doesn't get any temperature till he gets cirrhosis and he dies. Now when thinking goes on too much, people get tired of thinking too much. So they think that let's have something that will take us away from thinking, which will give us a kick outside. So they take some sort of a drug or a drink or alcohol and all that. All the saints in the world have said that alcohol is very dangerous for life. The reason is it goes against our awareness. This is a fact. You know that after taking a drink, our awareness becomes blurred or excited. It's not normal. That is the reason they said no. In Sahaja Yoga, I do not say don't do this or don't do that. I only want you to come to Sahaja Yoga, get your realization, and then you will not ask for it. That's a much better way to do it. But why they asked? For example, if you read Moses has clearly said that these are strong drinks. Very clearly, I don't know if people read that. And they should be avoided. I don't know if the Jews do that. They should not be taken. He's very clearly said it. Abraham said the same thing, that drinks are not good. Why all these prophets talk about it? Because they are all born in that green patch of ours. They are all placed in this green patch where we get our sustenance, which is 10. We have got 10 sustenances within us, like the gold has a sustenance that it does not tarnish. In the same way, human beings have got 10 sustenances. And these 10 sustenances are represented by great prophets. The principal is called as Adi Guru in Sanskrit language, the primordial master. He has incarnated on this earth as Abraham, Moses, as Lao Tse, as Confucius, as Socrates. Recently, he has been as Sainath of Shirdi, not the other fellow. And other great people have been like Nanaka, Janaka. All these great saints came on this earth to tell us how to keep in the center, how to keep our sustenance, how to be human beings. As carbon has got 4 valencies, we too have got 10 valencies. We have to maintain those 10 valencies within us. That's what they came to tell us. But you see, if anybody says now, don't drink, half of the hall will be empty. If you say you cannot have free sex, 5 people will walk off. That's the problem. Here, nobody likes to know anything about it, but it's a dangerous thing to do. Whatever it is that you have to keep in the center. You have to be in the center. And how to keep in the center is not to go to extreme, be moderate. And moderate life is the best.